So you've made statements that I have no reason to believe. I'm not a Shia. I'm not a Sunni. I don't actually care.
Okay.
Wait, let me finish. Like, I'm not a Shia, I'm not a Sunni. I don't actually care about who's right between you, because I actually think fundamentally you're both wrong. So my point is that I've got no vested interest in defending the Shia position. I've got no vested interest in, let me finish, defending the Sunni position. And as I hear your criticism of Shia Islam, what I heard was conjecture. What I heard was pronouncement. What I didn't hear was evidence, and what I didn't hear was a criteria.
Okay.
Because if you remember when we started this conversation, we started talking about the Christian state, how a Christian passes authority forward in time, and how I said one of the reasons why I reject Islam is because you have no criteria to identify your scholars. And, you know, in 20 minutes of conversation, you are yet to present me with any criteria apart from ijma, and I've demonstrated to you that ijma is not a sound principle to decide what's true or what's false. Let's go
back to the Shia Sunni thing, because I didn't give you the criterion. The criterion was, what are the reputation of the people that conveyed these reports? And when we look at these stories, we see that those are known. They were known liars.
They would know what you see. What you're giving is the Sunni are saying that the Shia hadith structure, the Shia isnad, are known liars. The Shia are saying exactly the same about Aisha.
These are from Shia books.
No.
These are from Shia books.
It doesn't matter if you're quoting Shia books. Shia do the same when it comes to the Sunnis. They quote Sunni hadiths to make their arguments against Sunni Islam. So you're both doing the same thing at one another.
Okay.
And you're both saying, we can't trust this chain because she's a liar. We can't trust this chain because he's a liar. And look, your own book's evidence that this person's a liar. So as an outsider,
there is a criteria.
I'm still waiting to hear it, because I'm waiting to hear.
I gave you the criterion.
So far you've given me ijma, and you've said that known liars. And what I've pointed out to you is that ijma, i.e. the consensus, is a really bad way to decide what's true, because majorities get the truth wrong all of the time. They always get truth wrong all of the time. There's countless examples of it.
The followers of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you haven't demonstrated that they have gotten things wrong.
I have given you an example. The nation state across the end. Let me finish. No, it is ijma. I'm sorry, you're wrong. You're wrong. Across the entire Islamic world, the Muslim community has accepted the nation state. That is ijma.
Okay, when you're defeated,
show me a caliphate.
When you're colonized and defeated,
show me a caliphate.
No, that's ridiculous. Show me a caliphate. People don't have the power to make a caliphate.
Why not?
They're militarily defeated.
By
who?
Are you
talking about? By the colonizers, by the Western European
No, stop blaming the West for your own problems. The Islamic world has been free now for 80 years. But
it's free. There's no Israel.
No, so Israel dominates the whole of the Islamic world.
That's
so your anti-Semitism is coming out now. Israel.
Anti-Semitism.
Is that you've just said that Israel is stopping?
No colonization.
So Israel is dominating the whole of the Islamic world.
You mean,
Israel dominates Indonesia.
The colonizers just left.
Is Indonesia dominated by Israel?
All these countries,
answer my question.
Yeah.
Is Indonesia
by US debts?
So it's all the Westerners' fault that the Muslims haven't created a caliphate.
You don't think that the entire Middle East is dominated by the West right now?
No.
You think they're free?
Iran is definitely free.
You don't think that the rulers are...
Iran is definitely free. Afghanistan is definitely free.
You don't think...
If it was up to me, we'd be bombing Afghanistan to dust. But right now, we've got weak governments that allow Islamist terrorists to dominate Afghanistan. Afghanistan is free of Western domination.
Afghanistan is not free. Half of their money was stolen by the American government.
Half of that money was American to begin with.
I don't know that.
The amount of money. But my point is.
No. You can't just say a claim like that.
No. But you've been doing that the whole conversation. The point is across across the entire Islamic world, Muslims have accepted the nation state. No. That is ijma.
No.
And where's your evidence?
Show me scholars. No, you can't say where's your evidence. You're the one putting the claim forward.
So my evidence, fine. I will now give you the evidence.
Yeah.
The evidence is that we
just
have.
said it.
I'm going to give you the
Is it
evidence.
different? Okay.
The evidence is that objectively and indisputably, we have the existence of nation states across the entire Islamic world that are being paid for by Muslims, staffed by
That's just
Muslims,
surviving.
governed by
That's
Muslims,
survival.
and perpetuated by Muslims.
That's just survival.
So this is, I'm lying. This is just a white man's
That's
lie,
survival.
is it a white man's lie?
That's survival.
Is it a fact?
The fact is that we have reality right now.
Is it a
We have
fact?
we have a split.
Are any of those points a lie, or are they true? And I'm just asking you to be honest with yourself. Are any of the points that I've made factual or wrong? Do you want me to make them again?
You're saying that the rulers of these nation states are maintaining their own nation states.
I am saying that a nation state can only exist by the consent of the people. If the people don't want a nation... Yes, of course.
Don't you see all the dictators? Aren't they all dictators in the Middle East? All of them are dictators. So
we agree. Do we agree the Taliban are dictators? Should we overthrow the Taliban because they're dictators?
Like I'm not here to defend the Taliban. I'm talking about.
Are they dictators?
North Africa.
Are they dictators?
I'm talking about North.
I'm asking you. Are the Taliban dictators?
I don't know about the Taliban.
You don't know, but you know about the rest.
I know about the North African states.
Okay.
Because these are the ones that were colonized. Why are you talking about Afghanistan if it's so clear to you that the area of Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, Palestine...
Afghanistan wasn't colonized.
Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Morocco...
Afghanistan wasn't colonized.
Why are you going to Afghanistan?
Afghanistan was not colonized.
Did I say that Afghanistan was colonized?
Neither was Saudi Arabia. Why is Saudi Arabia a nation state? It wasn't colonized.
I mean, look, you're ignoring the entire Syria, the entire area of Sham and Iraq.
Yeah.
And you're ignoring the entire North African states.
Let's give it to you that these are all dictators.
All of these, all of these were part of the Ottoman Caliphate.
Yeah.
And the Ottoman Caliphate was beaten by the European
Thanks
West.
be to God.
All right. And I mean, what's the point of this? Why thanks be to God in the middle of my comment? I don't see why.
Because it was a good thing that the Ottoman Caliphate was destroyed.
You shouldn't really interrupt like that.
But you've interrupted me countless times.
I didn't interrupt in such a way.
You've got it on camera, bro. You've been interrupting me countless times. But when you interrupt, it's okay.
Look, you have to be fair.
Then be fair.
Okay.
Shall we time it?
It's not about timing. It's about inserting some comment in the middle of...
I'm praising God for a good thing. That's not a bad thing to do.
No. Look, we're trying to make things objective, and we're not trying to, punch each other below the belt.
I'm not punching you below the belt.
That was clearly like that. Like, I'm saying something in the middle of a sentence here, like, oh yeah, thank God for that.
I am thanking God for the destruction of the caliphate.
Okay, you know that I stand on the position of keeping a caliphate.
Yeah, of course.
So why would you say, okay, thank God for
Because you said a good thing.
I never said anything bad about your system.
Yes, you
From
have.
the beginning. No. From the beginning, I said I am with the Christian autocracy in the UK.
I never said autocracy, but yeah.
Okay.
I know you did. You said you were in favor of that. You said you would like to see it.
I mean,
yeah.
So it's not reciprocal the way you're talking to me.
No, you're right. The caliphate is not something that I ever want to see emerge. And the thing is, my point to you is, and the point that you're wrestling with and you're sidestepping, is the fact that...
I have to take that back so that I can continue my argument.
Let's take what back?
Take the... thank God for the...
I'm not going to take... I am grateful that God destroyed the caliphate.
Okay, but at least you should admit that it's not something you should throw in the middle of my talk.
No, there's nothing wrong with saying that.
No, then there's nothing I can talk to you about.
Well, I mean, if an oppressive...
My argument is clear.
Do you thank God that colonialism ended?
Yes, I thank God that colonialism. But
the Caliphate was a colonialist state in Eastern Europe that occupied Christian lands, desecrated Christian churches, and persecuted Christians. Its destruction was an entirely good thing.
Okay.
So you can thank God when colonialism ends.
I thank God that
but it's
oppression
not
ends.
okay.
No,
and I thank God that oppression and the oppression of the Caliphate ended.
If the majority of the Caliphate was oppression, then I thank God that it ended.
Thanks be to God.
Okay.
Then we agree.
But I'm not in the position to judge that the Caliphate was made was mostly oppressive.
As a Christian, I can definitely say the Caliphate was oppressive.
Okay, then that's where we disagree.
And
that's another debate, and I don't.
And that's fine. We're not into that.
But the point is, now the North. I'm sorry, the North African states.
Yeah.
And Sham and Iraq, all these were colonized.
Yeah.
Right. And all of these are still under domination by the West. Yeah.
Not really.
Financially, all of these liberal states. Where did this liberalism come from?
Yeah, it came from Europe. Yeah, of course.
So the rulers are not governing according to Islamic rules. And I mean,
but the reality
Tunisia,
is,
for example, is completely secular.
But the reality is, if you look
but the people, I'm sorry, I was still making the point. The people are not in line with what's going on in the ruling.
Where's your evidence that the majority of Muslims want a caliphate?
Oh no, I'm not going to go there. Like, the majority of Muslims want a caliphate, but I'm saying that the majority of Muslims, they want some kind of.
But we're talking about ijma, remember?
Yeah, the majority of Muslims agree that a kind of union amongst Muslims is better than splitting.
Right. So the reality is, objectively, you know, as Christians, we believe that it's what you do that decides what you believe, not what you say. People can say all kinds of things.
We're defeated, man.
No.
When you're overpowered, what do you do?
But the point is, the vast, and it's coming back to this point of ijma, because you gave two criterion, and they're both very disputable. So far, we've only got two criterion to identify the scholars. The first one is ijma, but there is no ijma amongst Muslims about who those scholars are, because Shia have different scholars to Sunni.
Shia are a minority.
So again, you notice how you're interrupting, but I'm not complaining about it. I'm just pointing out to you that you are also interrupting. So please don't complain if I interrupt you. Please do consider your own words. So in terms of ijma, we've got no consensus amongst Muslims about who the scholars should be. And we have no consensus amongst Muslims about what government they should follow. And actually the consensus that undisputably does exist is the idea of a nation state. And that is across the Islamic world, including countries like Afghanistan and Iran, that are both militantly opposed to America, but have accepted the borders around them, including the borders of Pakistan, including the borders of Russia, and they have agreed to the nation-state framework, which means that we've got ijma on something that you're saying is wrong, which is the idea of the nation-state. If they had, so according to the Prophet, my community will never have ijma on something that is false. We have ijma on the nation state. You think that that is false, and so I have demonstrated that the majority can be wrong. I'm agreeing with you that it is wrong as a Muslim to believe in the nation state, but the fact is most Muslims do agree with the nation state.
The demonstration has some holes in it. First of all, you're talking about defeated nations that are in survival mode.
Excuses.
Excuses.
Yes, it's an excuse. The fact is, most Muslims are committed to the nation states that they belong to. That's a fact.
No, that's survival.
No, it's a fact.
That's survival.
Are Muslims paying taxes to their nation states?
You're forced to.
Are they working for those nation states?
You're forced to.
Are they defending and fighting for those nation states? Are they fighting for those nations? So the thing is, you don't want to recognise a blatant truth in front of you.
That's survival.
Let's try and move the debate forward.
No, you're not. I mean, what about my reply? Why are you ignoring it?
Right, so let me deal with survival, because what I'm showing to you, right? So I'll just read, and then I'll address your survival claim.
Yeah.
Okay? So what I'm trying to demonstrate to you, both by the Muslim nation states that are allies to the West, like Turkey, and Muslim states that are belligerent to the West, like Iran and Afghanistan, is that across the Islamic world there is a consensus to accept the nation state, which we both recognize doesn't square up with Islamic teaching, which demonstrates, which demonstrates that ijma, there is a consensus on something that is wrong, and Muhammad said my community would never have ijma on something that is wrong, thus demonstrating my claim that that was a bad teaching, it is a bad way to decide what's true, and therefore we need to look for a better way, an un-Muhammadan way, a way that is closer to Christ's way. Now, you argued this is about survival, right? That was your counterpoint. But that basically means that these Muslims have accepted that the best way to survive is not to re-establish a caliphate, but to support the nation states that they belong to. So in other words, the solution for survival is not Islam, but Western philosophy.
Okay. The problem with that is...
Remember, you said survival.
Yeah, I said survival, and you really didn't address it.
Oh, people can make their own mind up.
See, the problem is you are talking as if there is choice. And you can say this is us being weak and making excuses. But in both cases, it doesn't represent acceptance. There's a difference between me succumbing to a sin and accepting that this sin is, it's okay, it's halal, it's acceptable. You get the point?
Yeah, I get the point.
So most of the Islamic nations, I mean, everyone knows their own sins, okay?
Yeah.
But when you look at the state of the Islamic nation, you see it weak, you see it behind technologically, financially, and all these aspects, right?
Yeah.
And every person, including him and himself, he knows that he is part of the responsibility.
Yeah.
Right? And every person knows his own sins, and no one will ever tell you, some people will, but no one should tell you that, okay, no, these sins are really acceptable, and drinking is not haram, and fornication is not haram. Did you see the difference?
I get what you're saying, but the point is...
But the same thing with this. Nation...
but if you go to these scholars, if you go to Al-Azhar University, there are scholars... the one in Egypt, sorry, maybe Arabic's not my first language, you know. But if you go to that university, there are scholars in there that would justify the existence of the Egyptian state. And they do.
Wow.
Now, my point to you is, I want to try and move this conversation forward because we're getting a bit stuck on this particular topic. Because remember, it's only one small facet of a much broader discussion. Okay. Right? Because, and I think we've done ijma to death. Like, people can come to their own conclusions.
No, we haven't done it to death.
Well, I think we've done it enough for this conversation. I want to try and move the conversation forward.
Of whether the apostolic, what did you call it?
Apostolic succession.
Yeah, is a better model than...
Yeah, so let's come to that. So firstly, and the second point is that there is no scholarly ijma. Muslim scholars in this country, as we've already talked about with the YouTube scholars, and they're all calling one another out, as you know, and that's in English, so I've seen plenty of them do it. Yeah. You know,
these are not scholars,
right? Some of them are. Some of them are. Well, maybe you need to watch more YouTubers. Some of them are scholars. Some of them, like there's a mufti. You know, he's a Qadi, mufti, sorry. And a mufti has
people call themselves things.
Of course, and this is my point, is that in Islam, because you don't have any criterion to discover which scholar to follow, and I'm still waiting for it, right? Because you don't have a criterion, Muslims follow different scholars and come to different conclusions. Biggest example, for example, is being the Shia and the Sunni. But even within the Sunnis, there's disagreement. The followers of Mufti, I think he's called Abu Layth. I might be getting his name wrong or mixing him up with someone else. I might be mixing him up with someone else because I sometimes do. I know I've tried to use him as an example before, and I sometimes get his name wrong. But you know, they broke into his house. Do you know what I'm talking about? They kicked his door in.
No, I don't know that story, but I know that
he's notorious because he said that what Palestinians should do is they should leave and go into a Muslim country.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He said that?
Yeah. And some people kicked his door in and terrorized his family. You know, I don't know why that's funny. There's little kids that were being, you know.
Of course. No, that's
but the point is that. Different Muslim scholars, he has his following, but he also has those that are willing to smash in his doors and terrorize his kids, and smash his windows. Now, clearly, there is no agreement amongst Muslims about, even amongst Sunni Muslims, about which scholars to follow. Are you a Salafi? I mean, I'm asking you, are you a Salafi or an Ash'ari?
Oh, come on. Now that's going to go to another discussion. But no, I'm not. Don't have a title like that.
Okay, fair enough.
Muslim.
Right. And so the point is, I've asked you, the Ash'ari and the Salafi have very different. They're not. They have very different understandings of the attributes of Allah.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true. But the story is.
Well, no.
I'm not sure if you're interested, but the story is the Ash'ari came as. The Ash'ari himself was in his household as he was growing up.
Yep.
His family was a Mu'tazilite.
Yep.
Right? And he was, I think, his uncle, from his maternal uncle, or his stepfather.
Yeah, I know. And then he swapped out of the Mu'tazilite philosophy. Yes, so I know the story.
Very good.
I told you. I keep trying to tell you I'm not a novice.
I
keep trying to tell you I'm not a novice.
Yeah,
my point.
What I'm saying is he came back through this.
Yeah. But,
Salafi, if you will, if you want to name it that.
But he didn't.
Through reason.
But he didn't.
Because that's what appeals to the Mu'tazila.
Yeah, but he didn't teach the idea that the Ash'ari school of Kalam, of theology, doesn't teach that the hand of Allah should be taken literally as a hand. They teach that it's a metaphor to something else. Whereas the Salafi affirm that the hand truly is a hand, even though we don't know or can think or imagine what that hand is.
I didn't go that deep, so I don't know. I don't know the details.
Are you aware that, I'm sure you're aware that Sahih al-Bukhari was considered a deviant in his own lifetime?
No.
Right. So go and look into the life of Sahih al-Bukhari. I'm talking about the book, al-Bukhari. Mm-hmm. Go and look into the life of al-Bukhari. In his own lifetime, he was considered a deviant. And now, he's your biggest scholar.
I mean, okay. How do you explain? How do you explain that his book was accepted?
I will gladly explain.
Nice.
Yeah. So the reason why it was accepted is because Islam has changed over time, and different generations of Muslims, as Islam has changed, have adopted this scholar and that scholar, and formed around these scholars, and. So in Bukhari's own lifetime, he was rejected as a deviant. But you go 100 years after Bukhari's death, and his book becomes a major work of hadith.
That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly, it doesn't, does it?
What about the?
You're totally right. It doesn't make any sense.
Scholarly succession that we have.
Exactly, that's my point.
No, but what about the scholarly?
Exactly, that's my point. So Sahih al-Bukhari being considered a deviant in his own lifetime.
Look,
demonstrates.
We don't pick up books. It's not that. That's not what we do things.
Shall I give you a contrast in Christianity to sort of illustrate the difference?
In the Islamic school of thought, in the Islamic discipline, the Islamic tradition, we don't just pick up books that were 100 years ago and we glorify them suddenly. There are chains of narrations and chains of teachings and chains of scholarly succession.
And I'm saying to you that actually that's exactly what you've done. Which is why you have three main branches of Islam. I forget what the third one's called. You got the Sunni, you got the Shia.
We exactly did?
And then you've got one in, I think it's in Oman or Yemen. They're a third group. And these different Muslims have literally done what you say Muslims don't do, which is that they
books.
Exactly. Which is why the Shia reject the Sunni books and the Sunnis reject the Shia books. Yes, you do. We've already talked about the fact that you've got different hadiths.
How is that related to people? We don't pick up books and we start glorifying them. How is that related?
So I mean, I don't know what you heard when I said glorifying them. What I'm talking about is that a consensus emerged after Bukhari's death that Bukhari's book is one of the key books of hadith. That consensus emerged after Bukhari died, but Bukhari in his own lifetime, and you can go and check what I'm saying, Bukhari in his own lifetime was considered a deviant.
Considered deviant
by the Muslims of his own time and of his own town.
Okay, and then what happened? I mean,
well, then he died. You know, he
didn't have any students.
He only one student. And I think his name is, I'm going to mispronounce it again, Yathabri.
He had only one student.
No, he had only one student that made a copy.
So, let me
finish. Obviously, before he was found to be a deviant, he had students. Then when he was found to be a deviant, only one student stuck with him. Yathabri, I might be mispronouncing the name, I probably am.
Yeah.
He was the one that copied Sahih al-Bukhari's work.
Yeah.
Right? every version of Sahih al-Bukhari's work, of which I think there are about 6, and they are all different, all of them go back to this one student. And we don't have his book.
Okay.
What we have is a later book that someone else came in and corrected the grammar on, corrected the Arabic grammar on, and
You're talking about hadith. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
But you're talking about hadith, and hadith is an oral tradition.
What I'm talking about is the fact that they had a scholar
Yeah.
that was considered a deviant in his own time, but 100 years later was considered the scholar to go to when it comes to hadiths. In other words, who are your scholars changes from generation to generation.
I mean, I really have to check that story. I have
Yeah, please do.
Great skepticism towards what you're saying.
Fine,
because
go and
doesn't
check it.
make any sense.
Go and check it. See if I'm telling you the truth and come
Yeah,
back
but
and
what's
talk to
the
me about
point?
it.
What's the point?
Right, so my point to you is, right, so let's do a contrast to
you're-
Christianity. Let's do a contrast to Christianity.
No, look, Christianity, I'm not interested in getting the contrast of Christianity because
At the beginning,
Because-
remember, you asked me about the apostolic
Yeah.
succession. You said, well, how do you do that in
the point-
Christianity? I
there's-
talked about
there's
apostolic
one thing
succession.
I have a question actually.
Okay,
So, Christianity doesn't have a system of law. Paul, for example, in Galatians chapter 5,
yeah,
he's telling people that when Jesus was the one saying, I only came to fulfill the law, not to destroy it, or
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact wording.
yeah,
And then Paul in the beginning of Galatians chapter 5 says, whoever goes with circumcision
yeah,
has no value for Christ. He has not benefited anything from Christ. And,
yeah,
you should, if you that's your choice, then you should just follow the entire Jewish law,
Yeah.
which is actually what Jesus was saying. But you shouldn't circumcise yourself. And those people, and he was talking about the people of James that were actually telling people that Paul was a deviant. He says
There's no
those
evidence
people,
for that.
No, he says men from James. He says it in another part. I can't remember where, but he says men
Men,
from James.
men came up from Jerusalem, is what it says.
He said men from James.
Gone.
That's what I know.
Yeah,
And you can listen to Paul Williams.
yeah.
Has a
Paul
great
Williams.
channel.
He's a liar, bro. He's
No,
just an out and out liar.
No.
So can I reply to
You
that?
can't say that.
Can I reply to that? He is an
You
out and out
can't-
liar.
No, you can't say Paul Williams is a liar.
I really can. He's an out and out liar. Scholarly, he's a joke.
No. The guy has references for everything. This is very disrespectful.
Often
and
misquoted.
dishonest.
He's often misquoting. He's
No.
often misquoting. He's
I'm
misquoted.
checking I'm
He's
reading with him.
he's misquoted NT Wright to me.
No.
He's misrepresented to NT Wright
Okay,
to me.
Anyone can.
He did it to my
I don't know what
face.
you're talking about. I don't know.
I
what
have
you're talking
direct
about.
experience of Paul's ability to misrepresent actual scholarship.
I don't know what you're talking about, but he's very honest, and I don't. Everyone
Okay,
makes mistakes.
let's move past Paul Williams.
No. I'm not gonna move past it. Like this is not.
So
this is not proper.
well,
It's not
I mean, no offense, but like
It's not
I've experienced him
It's just
lying to
because
my
I
face.
named my reference, and it's not just because I named my reference, and he was interviewing someone who is more scholarly in the Bible, and it's not about
He
Paul
hasn't.
Williams.
He hasn't. In he's in, all he's does.
I don't like.
All
what
he
you
has
did,
done.
really.
All he has done is interview.
No, I don't want.
He's interviewed deviants within the church, scholars who are liberals within the church, who are rejected
look,
by
all
the
of
majority
these-
of
all these are
Christians,
references
and then he
that you
presents them to you like Christian scholars. What he doesn't tell you is that the scholars he's presenting to you as Christians are rejected by the vast majority of Christians. They are called heretics. And he's pulling the wool over your eyes. This is what I'm talking about.
That's what you were talking about. You're telling me about there's no consensus in
So,
Islam.
so you asked me a question. You said you were going to ask me a question, but you didn't ask me a question.
I
You just
was
made a
going
point.
there.
So
but
what's
you
the
really
question?
bothered me with your. I was going there, but
So
this is not appropriate way to even.
I'm sorry, but if Paul Williams is deceiving Muslims by getting people who are considered heretics, presenting them on their channel.
The point is, okay, Do you have a debate with Paul Williams? Have you talked to him?
Paul Williams runs from every debate I've tried to have with him, and I've tried to have several with him.
I don't believe it.
You go and look at SOCO Films. We've got it on camera.
Okay, show it to me. Give me a link right
Go,
now.
go and look on SOCO
Let me
Films.
see it.
Look at Paul Williams, SOCO Films.
Okay.
Go and
Show
do it now. Paul
Show
Williams, SOCO Films. You'll see him running
Okay.
from a debate.
How do you spell that?
SOCO, SOCO,
Yeah.
and then Films.
SOCO Films. Yeah. What is that?
It's the YouTube channel that I work with.
The YouTube channel you work with.
Yeah.
And you have some things about Paul Williams. In there.
Right. Go and type Paul Williams, Bob and Paul Williams, and see what comes up. But I want to come back to the point that you made. You
have
know,
merchandise on this channel?
JC does. I don't. Yeah. So I'm going to address your point.
Sorry.
I'll address it for anyone who's watching, and I hope you're going to listen to what
I'm not interested in being part of this. Actually, I don't like this.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. But
I've been here long enough, man.
Well, then in that case, what I would like to do is I'd like to give you a gift to show that there's no hard feelings. I know, like. So
we didn't reach anywhere.
Well, I think
you gave me things to check.
Yep.
I like that. I didn't give you anything to check.
No,
I don't like that.
Yeah. Next time, maybe. Next time.
But I mean, you look like you have had your share of all these discussions.
Yeah.
And your argument is, I don't know how you're telling me, okay, you should be honest with yourself, but then you're telling me you're not recognizing that a defeated nation that doesn't even, I mean, you agree that nation states are a best option to have.
Now I'm saying Muslims have decided.
People accepting a reality is not the same.
No,
did you agree on that or not?
No, what you said was it about survival, and what I pointed out, and what I've pointed out to you is that means that the majority of Muslims are choosing the nation state as their best means of survival. So that is allowing your criticism of my argument and still pointing out to you that we've demonstrated conclusively that the ijma is on error.
Yeah, Habibi, the ijma is that scholars did not do consensus that this is the best, that this is right what we are on right now.
And so now we come back to the next point that I wanted us to move on to about 20 minutes ago, which is that on what criterion can you decide the scholars? Because we have a criterion in Christianity to identify our leaders. What is the criterion?
We have the chain of scholarly tradition. That's what we have. It goes all the way back to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam,
which is disputed among Shia and Sunni, and a third group whose name I can't remember. Yeah?
Shia is a minority.
And we've already demonstrated that the majority can coalesce around error through the nation state.
We have not demonstrated that, no.
So one of your criteria now is this idea of succession, right? Right. So that was the bit where I said, oh, you're just borrowing a Christian argument.
When you're telling me apostolic succession,
yeah,
it sounds to me like the scholarly succession.
Yeah.
You see, but the difference is
how many. What I would encourage you to.
The difference is it's not quite the same. You know, it's not like the bishop appoints someone, right?
Yeah, it's the church appoints. Just so you know, it's not the bishop; it's the church.
Oh, so they vote on it?
No, it's not a vote.
Ah.
The church, the sort of elected from above. So the bishops will decide this is a good candidate to be a bishop. They make him a bishop. They lay hands on him. Then he is a bishop.
Wait, can you say that again?
So the bishops elect who is going to be the bishop, and they raise him up.
Oh.
And then they lay hands on him publicly, so all the church can see he is a leader. And then he is appointed a leader of the church.
Sounds nice. I don't know how it's really implemented.
Yeah. Well, it is implemented.
Anyway, I really have to go.
Okay, what's your name?
Omar.
Omar, it was a very pleasant conversation, you know.
Thank you very much.
And, you know, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me and the very civil way you've conducted yourself.
Your name?
Bob.
Bob. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to give you a gift, just as a thank you. Do you have a Bible at home?
Yeah, I have multiple ones.
Yeah, multiple Bibles, so you don't need another Bible then.
No, I wouldn't.
I will not give you a Bible. Let me just have a look at something else then. So this is looking at, you know, how do Christians discern? You know, we talk about the Holy Spirit guiding us and leading us. I don't know if you know that Christians do that.
I'm still really bothered by Paul Williams, you calling him a liar.
He's misrepresenting loads of scholarship.
No, the man is honest. I don't like.
I don't believe so.
No.
I don't believe so.
I checked the references. I'm not stupid. I don't like you calling him a liar.
But Paul Williams not only has run from every debate that I've challenged him to, but he is also presented as Orthodox Christians, people who aren't Orthodox. And to my face, to me personally, he misrepresented N.T. Wright.
What? N.T. Wright?
N.T. Wright. He misrepresented N.T. Wright to me personally.
Okay, I mean, if I don't know about that. Like, what do you
I do though.
I don't know.
I'm not asking you to take account of Paul Williams' behaviour, you know. But the thing is, he is duping his audience.
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, I think so.
But I will look at the link. Look at your channel, and I will see what you're talking about.
Watch the videos where he runs.
How can I reach you if I find that?
I'll give you my email address if you want.
Yeah, I would like that.
Yeah, have you got something to record it?
I wouldn't like it if I find out that he didn't misrepresent or anything.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wait a second. Let me open my Gmail first. How many emails do you get?
I've got 1,500 at the moment. I get usually about 5-10 a day.
5-10 a day. So there is a chance you'll find me. Okay.
Hopefully, God willing. So BTB.
BTB.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
SOCO. SOCO. At gmail.com. Okay. If I'm a bit rubbish at replying, please just bear in mind it's kind of like I don't do this full time. It's not like I'm sat there in front of my computer screen.
I understand.
But if you just keep, if you've waited too long and you're eager for an answer, just send the email with a nudge and bounce it back to the top, and eventually at some point I'll catch it.
N.T. Wright, you said, huh?
N.T. Wright, yeah.
Misrepresented, you say?
Yeah.
And he hasn't recognized that he is on. He didn't say I made a mistake or anything.
He regularly misrepresents scripture on his YouTube channel. Regularly, he does that.
But when you're saying to your face,
to my face, he misrepresented N.T. Wright.
And he did not like. You confronted that.
I have confronted him about it. I have said to him that he is misrepresenting in discussion before he ran off. I have said that he misrepresents scholarship.
Okay,
and I've said that to his face. Obviously, he denies it. But as someone who's seen some of these programs, he deliberately misrepresents what the Bible says to people like you.
Look, don't talk to me like I'm stupid.
Like you were talking to me like I was some novice, you know.
No, I did not. You continue to insist. You don't talk to me. I have never made any assumption or talked in a condescending way.
No, you haven't, and I'm not accusing you of doing so.
And I'm
not saying that you're stupid.
I'm not a novice.
I'm not saying you're stupid.
Say
I'm not saying you're stupid.
Okay,
I never said you were stupid.
Look, I'm a person that always checks the references. I'm always careful about what I say, about what I believe. I've done this my entire life.
Okay, so here's a challenge for you. Find me a video where you think Paul represents the Bible faithfully in a way that supports Islam. Because he does it all the time on his show. Does it all the time. So find me one video where you're absolutely certain that he has not misrepresented the scripture and that scripture supports Islam, and then I will give you a live example with evidence of how he is manipulating his audience.
Okay, that's fair.
That's a fair challenge, eh?
Yeah,
so you send me a video where you're 100% sure he has not missed out.
Job, but
he's not missed out information. He hasn't twisted words. He hasn't obscured facts.
No, that's too much.
Right? Any video you're confident that you can use of Paul Williams where he uses the Bible to support Islam, and you think that can stand up to scrutiny, and I will demonstrate to you with a real example of how he's manipulating his audience.
I don't think... look, using the Bible to support Islam is different than his criticism to Christianity and the Bible. I mean, most of the videos are just criticism to Christianity.
Exactly.
They're not there to support Islam.
They blatantly are. I mean, if you're going to say that, then you're obviously...
No, most of the videos are not there to support Islam. I mean, sometimes he says, okay, this is more like the Islamic view, you know, like.
Yeah, sure. So give me one of those videos where you think that is accurate, and we'll talk about it.
Okay, that will take some. I'll see.
Yeah. Because I'm telling you, he is manipulating his audience.
Yeah.
And I will demonstrate it with a real example that you choose.
Okay, that's fair.
That's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
All right. Lovely to speak to you, Omar. Here's your gift. This is for you.
Thank you.
Have a book. God bless. So, guys, let me do a quick wrap up. Off camera, we ended up having a conversation with Omar. We started off talking about a Christian government and the idea of how Christians build a government and make a separation between secular society and religious society, and how we separate secular from religious within the Christian faith. And from that, we ended up contrasting it to the Islamic idea of the Caliphate. And Islam is built upon a circular reasoning. And the circular reasoning is, who do you identify as the scholars? Because the scholars are essentially just the people, that the mass corral around. But there's no criteria in the Quran and Hadith as to how to identify who the scholars are. However, there is a system in church government about how we identify who the leaders of the church are. They must be appointed by church leaders publicly, hands laid on them, and then they are sent out as apostles, as bishops, to go and found other churches or to lead other churches. This is how the apostles did it themselves when they appointed the replacement to Judas. In other words, the Christian faith has a system of church government for the New Testament community. But in Islam, Muslims split Shia, Sunni, and then there's a third group whose name I can't remember, based upon the fact that Muhammad didn't appoint a leader, clearly. And that's why Shia and Sunni are fighting about who the leader is, and they're fighting about who the scholars are. Because there is no Islamic criteria laid out. And all the justifications, whether you're Sunni or Shia, are made post hoc. They're made after the event. And that is what we're seeing in Islam. And one of the arguments that the brother used was this idea of Muhammad's statement of ijma, that the ummah would not have ijma on anything but the truth. They wouldn't have consensus apart from consensus on the truth. But this is demonstrably false. This is such a bad way of deciding what's true or not. The idea that the majority decides what is truth is a ridiculous system of epistemology. And it's proven even within Islamic terms that this is a bad idea. Because right now, in the 21st century, across the entire Islamic world, both Islamic governments that are allied to the West, like Turkey and Saudi Arabia, and Islamic governments that are belligerent to the West, like Afghanistan and like Iran, are all operating as nation states. And those scholars are speaking to defend the existence of those nation states. And the majority of the Muslims accept the nation state. And when I asked the brother for evidence that the most Muslims reject the nation state, he was able to provide none at all. The reality is that you have consensus in the Islamic community beyond something that isn't Islamic, the idea of the nation state. So Muhammad's own criteria has proven to be false, to be wrong. By contrast, Christianity was born as a minority in the Roman Empire, and we took over a socio-political and economic system that was existent before the church emerged, which means that the Christian church is not tied to any economic or political system at all. We simply Christianize whatever economic and political system exists. So, in other words, Christianity works with any form of government, whether that's an emperor, a king, a dictator, or a democracy. And we seek to make whatever that is Christian, like we did with the Roman Empire, like we did with the medieval kings, like we did with Franco, like we did and like we are trying to do with liberal democracy. By contrast, Islam without the Caliphate doesn't exist fully and completely. And that means that when most Muslims accept a non-Caliphate system of government, they have ijma consensus on something un-Islamic because there is no criterion to choose their scholars. And they have a system of government that does not work and has failed. That is why there isn't a caliphate today. That, my friends, is the wrap-up. Any questions?